good or bad choices, and can I change it? Okay, so please be respectful. Obviously, if you're not, I have no problem coming around and asking you to leave. So, here she is.
I have no problem asking you all to leave. Hi there. First I'd like to thank Katie. I got to speak to her health classes last year. Some of you might be in here. I want to tell you I'm a little nervous because that doesn't go away. I want you all to like me. That would be handy. You know, it would probably make it easier for me if we could just maybe go around and introduce ourselves. Hi. What's your name? Is that? Hi. What's your name? We'll get there in a minute. Trace, hi. I'm so kidding. You guys are like, wow. So, Katie's right. I'm going to tell you less about me than she probably thinks. But I run and started a nonprofit organization called Able to Sail, which is what we do is we take every lesson in sailing and in like an empowerment seminar kind of way, and there's a really crazy fun way. We take every lesson and we're going to talk about how if you apply that to your life, that you can create this magnificent life. If you take everything we teach you and apply that. Today we're going to talk about one of those things. And I guess the first thing you need to know about sailing really is if you're going to turn a boat left, you actually steer to the right. Which is crazy and backwards, and most of you are probably drive, and I hope you don't drive that way. Somebody fit in the parking lot. It's not good. So, but it requires a change in thinking. And so we're going to talk about changing your thinking because we know today that what we think creates our reality. We know this through quantum physics, through The Secret, through the law of attraction. And whether you believe it or not doesn't really matter, but I promise that if you do, you'll be in a lot better mood most of the time, and really cool stuff just may happen. So, our overarching organization's name is Able for Youth. ABLE stands for A Better Life Experience for Youth. So, if we want to create a better life experience for youth, I thought it was smart that we might figure out what your current life experience is. So we do surveys, the first day of camp and the last day of camp. The first day of camp we asked you, after a few questions, just in a few words, what does it feel like to be you most of the time? Like, what's it feel like? Like, not when you're like scoring a touchdown, and not when you're like being applauded for your ballet or whatever it is. You know, not when you're like with your homies and everything's cool. But what does it feel like to be you most of the time? Like sitting here and maybe you couldn't find your friends, or when you go home with your family. What's it feel like? So, we've had 700 kids through Able to Sail in 5 years, and we think we have a pretty good idea. We don't just work with at-risk kids, because I think every kid is an at-risk kid. You wouldn't have called me an at-risk kid, we'll get into that. So we work with a lot with looking good kids, church groups, sports teams, you guys. We also work with kids at drug treatment centers and on probation, and, you know, you guys. So, here's I didn't even cherry pick this. This is what it feels like to be you guys, if you admit it. I feel really hated, picked on. I don't feel like I fit in or belong, so I guess pretty alone. Most of the time I feel like no one likes me or cares about me. Sometimes lonely, sometimes sad, sometimes happy. She was really definitive. Stressed, unhappy. I try to be friendly though. Anxious. I'm shy and I just melt to the rest of the crowd. I'm invisible. Nobody understands me. Nobody cares. It feels great to be me. She was high. Kidding. I just hate that. Oh, great to be you. Good for you. I love this answer. What's it feel like to you most of the time? Mad. You guys know what that means. I had to Google it. So, here's another one. I don't really belong. I don't fit in. I get picked on. Depressed, unimportant, insecure, never good enough. I'm not good enough, girl. It's weird being me. I always feel different in a bad way, like there must be something wrong with me. I don't like the age I am, and I don't want to do chores. That's mine. Just saying. Sometimes it's cool, but usually I feel awkward, depressing, lonely, feeling like myself makes me sad. I feel like I'm different, and people don't like me unless I act like stuff that's not really myself. It's my all-time favorite answer. It's cool. I love being Johnny. Not me, but Johnny. How many Johnnies are out here? Everybody's got one. Hey, hey. It's like you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I feel so small. I gotta send my representative. Johnny, you go to school. Yo, I'll go to school. What's up? You show up that way. And people love Johnny. Sad thing about that is, you know it's not really who you are, but you know it's who you think people want you to be. So when you show up as somebody other than who you are, people fall in love with who you're not. Which only tells you that who you really are, don't ever let anybody know. Don't let them see you. And you get to spend your whole life living this shell of a masked person in total fear. And I did that. The reason I read these... Hold on. The reason I read these is if I would have known when I was your age that I wasn't the only person that felt like this walking down the halls of high school, if I didn't think I was the only person on the planet that felt like I didn't belong, that nobody understood me, that there must be something wrong with me, that I'd never be good enough no matter what I did, I think my life might have been a lot different. So I can ask you to do something if you're brave, to raise your hand if you heard something that describes really, if you can be honest and courageous, what does it feel like to be you most of the time? Did you hear something that said, yeah, that's me? And if you can't be brave, pretend you're brave. Keep your hands up, please. And everybody, please look around. Because I want you to get that. I want you to get that. Because now maybe you and your best friend can have a real conversation about, really, you feel that? But you're gorgeous. You're popular. Yeah. So, you know, I didn't know everybody was pretending. I didn't know it was, I knew it was my insides against your outsides. It was how I felt at home versus your social media post. And like all we ever post is, my life is beautiful! And then we go home and kick our dogs and don't post about that. It's like, I could just ask you not to create your idea of self-worth based on what other people post on social media. And I will remind you that almost everybody in here raised their hand. And if they didn't, it's because they really didn't want you to know that that's how they felt. My story. Woohoo! My story, adoption, addiction, abuse. My story is I was given up for adoption when I was born and adopted into a family whose form of behavior modification included belts and boards, seclusion and isolation, and constant shaming. Do you remember how you screwed up? God. I know some of you can relate. Probably a little too much. But here's the thing. When you come on the planet and you believe that because of the way people treat you, that there must be something wrong with you. When you come on the planet and you believe that because the people who are supposed to say, I love you and support you, can't do that you must not be lovable. When you come on the planet and believe that nothing you do ever is enough because the people can't say, my God, you're brilliant, you're magnificent, go rule the world, those become core beliefs. And everything we do is fed by those beliefs. So, of course, we get in relationships with the craziest people on the planet. Of course we drink. Of course we use drugs. Of course we cut. Of course we want to kill ourselves. God, of course we do. You know, don't get me wrong. I was a looking good kid. You know, I I don't know, what I get, like a 1380 on my SATs or something. I had a full ride to Harvard. I was an Olympic level soccer goalie. So I was a looking good kid. Man, it looked good on paper. But all that's what it felt like to be me most of the time. So, you know, and I had a mom, which my parents didn't drink or use drugs or anything. You know, it was a looking good family. But I had the kind of mom who, I would come home from school, like she'd come to all my games, and I'd be like, Mom, guess what? I set the record for the most saves ever in school. And she'd be like, yeah, but if you would have got that one, you would have had a shutout. You're right. You're right. Almost perfect isn't good enough. Did you know that 45, you guys might know, 45% of kids don't want their parents to come to their athletic events for that very reason of being criticized and that they should have done better and could have done better? Because all that does is create a belief. They found a couple years ago, the NCAA Wrestling Championship silver medal outside the event center in a dumpster. And I get that. Because that wouldn't have been enough for my parents. It wouldn't have been enough. It would have been how I just didn't quite cut the mustard. And how maybe next time if I tried harder and worked harder, then I might get them to say they were proud of me. Maybe. So, you know, it's a fine line between supporting a kid and shattering their soul. And I think my mom probably did want to support me by saying that, like maybe she just so believed in my greatness, but she expected it constantly. And so what it did was shatter me. So after some horrific stuff like that happened at age 18, I had never used drugs or drank. I didn't know anything about that world. And my best friend on the soccer team, she said, hey, Diane, you want to get stoned? Yeah, I do. I don't know what was going to happen, but what I found out is I laughed. I laughed for the first time in 6 months. And I said, I am going to do this every day for the rest of my life. Oh my God. God, I love you guys are so much more mature. Like the 9th graders stood up and applauded that. They did. How much you've grown in a year, it's amazing. You know, but I have to tell you, I'm not going to go into great detail about all the terrible stuff that happened. Just know that over the course of 25 years, I didn't go to Harvard, I didn't graduate college, I ended up homeless, I lost everything and everyone that ever meant anything to me in my entire life. It's a really confusing thing when the thing that used to relieve the pain starts to cause it. And you can't. The thing about addiction is it never ends well. And here's the most heartbreaking thing of all, is that I know that there are some of you in the audience who maybe already started down that path, kind of got that, yeah, that makes me feel better. And there's a voice inside you right now, full of compassion and empathy, saying, oh my gosh, Diane, I am so sorry that happened to you, but it won't happen to me. And I'm here to tell you that especially if you have that voice telling you what won't happen to you, that by God it most assuredly will. Because we buy the lie. It won't happen to me. Twice. Yeah, twice. And it does. So, our mission at Able to Sail is I want to raise the level of your self-esteem to help you reduce this impulsion to drink or drug or cut or die or hide behind a screen and depression and anxiety. Because what I know is we're going to talk how beliefs drive behavior, which means what I think causes me to do what I do. So, you know, all that being said, I want to help you believe in yourself just so you, I don't know, avoid the pit of misery. Dilly dilly. Some of you will laugh. And some of you will clap. Again, the 9th graders stood up and applauded. I don't know. So, what we know, beliefs drive behavior. And here's the interesting thing about beliefs is a belief, you weren't born with them, a belief is just something that you have decided to think 100,000 times and never questioned whether it was true or not. You never questioned it because it seems so obvious because you made it up and called it real. Beliefs drive behavior. So if I'm standing here in the middle of a road and there's a fast-moving truck coming at me, and I'm not suicidal, I believe it's going to hit me, my behavior will hopefully be to get out of the way. If I believe I'm hungry, my behavior will be go to McDonald's, get something to eat. Unless I believe I'm too fat, in which case I won't get something to eat. There are layers of belief that drive what we do and choose to not do. Let's go back to the what it feels like to be me stuff that we read. The thing about beliefs, we say, what does it feel like to be you? Well, the human body can only feel 4 things: mad, sad, happy, and scared. So if it's not one of those things, we just say, I feel like I don't belong. What we're really saying is, I believe I don't belong. I believe I'm a disappointment. I believe nobody cares. I believe nobody likes me. I believe there must be something wrong with me. And those are the beliefs that drive what you do. And here's the thing, when you believe things that cause you pain, you have to medicate them. You have to, some way. Whether it's staring at your screen or sticking a needle in your arm, whatever it is, you will find a way to medicate what you believe causes you pain. I'm going to talk about this belief because it comes up probably 1 out of 5 times when you talk about it. I believe I don't belong. I believe I don't belong. One of my favorite authors says that the biggest barrier to belonging is that we need to fit in. Which means I feel like I have to be exactly like you if I'm going to fit in with you, if I'm going to belong in your social group, whatever it is. Between you and me, I blame Sesame Street. Were you guys growing up on Sesame Street? You had the grid, it had apple, 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 orange. And they played the song, some of these things doesn't belong here, one of these things just isn't the same. I was like, oh yeah, that orange. Whew, only that orange was an apple. And so, it occurred to me, I was like, where did I get that thing I don't belong? And that's why I blame Sesame Street. But we do that. We think, wow, my friend Claire, like everybody likes her, and she wears skinny jeans and heels and a t-shirt. So I gotta go get the same skinny jeans and the same heels, and then she stands like this, and everybody thinks she's funny, so I gotta practice standing like that here in front of a mirror. And you do that because you would be just like Claire, because everybody loves Claire, and if they love Claire, they gotta love you. Funny thing is, if you're being Claire, you're not being you, so they really don't love you. It's an interesting messaging. When I grew up in the 80s, I think they had just come out with designer brands, because I know my parents didn't have that. And the 2 big ones, Nike had just come out. I'm that old, get over it. Nike had just come out, and so had Izod's, little alligator on your shirt. You know, you wear a polo shirt with a little alligator. Whoo, you had to have an alligator. Well, my parents didn't get it. And we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. Dad was thrifty, and so he wanted to help. And so we'd go to Kmart and come home for Christmas, and I'd be like, yes, I got an alligator. And I opened it up, and it was a knockoff brand, and I had a dragon. Right here. You get that. Like, you can't go to school with a dragon on your shirt. Everybody's got an alligator. Yeah. So I know I don't belong. I'm sure you guys are pointing and laughing. Because how could I be so stupid as to wear an alligator? Or wear a dragon? Kmart had Nike. The swoop goes up. Kmart, the swoop goes down. My swoop went down. So I never fit in. I 100 completely % never, ever, ever fit in. A couple of years ago, a guy won the award for a movie called The Imitation Game as a director. And it was one of those moving speeches. And he stood up there with the Academy Award in his hand, and I want to tell you exactly what he said, because he said, when I was 15 years old, I tried to take my own life because I was different and because I was weird. And I'm here to tell you today that you belong, you do, I promise you do. Stay different, stay weird, get through this part of life, and show us who you are. So, if beliefs drive our life, where do they come from? We make them up. One of my favorite books says, we are never angry at a fact or an event. It's always our interpretation of that event that pisses us off. Nutshell that. But what that means is, here, something happens. Something happens. And in our brains we go, that means, and we make some stuff up and decide what that means and call it real. Let me bring that maybe a little closer home. So, first, how many of you guys have like 2 or 3-year-old brothers and sisters? Yeah, they walk around the house going, why? That's annoying. And I'm not surprised because we want to know why. Why did that happen? So we can create some meaning. And I think before we can ask, we make it up. And so that's why they're like, why everything? Why that? Why that? Why that? So the interesting thing is, ever since the beginning of time, human beings have been storytellers. We're natural-born storytellers. You know, cavemen and cave drawings. You see a picture of man walking, then you see lion stalking, then you see man running, and then you see tiger running, and then you see it's killing you. You gotta know. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to stories, and we hate not knowing the end. Let me prove it. How many of you binge watch TV? Yes you do, and the rest of you are liars. Because we gotta know. We gotta know, and they're so good, they're masters at it. They're like, Joe and Tommy had a baby. What? She had a baby? What happened to Tommy's baby? What? Somebody kidnapped Tommy's baby? No, I can't come to dinner. What happened to Tommy's baby? Oh my God! And did he get arrested? Did he get killed? No, I can't go to school. I gotta know. What happened to Tommy's baby? I watched the season of Homeland, or the show, the entire show. I believe it's 7 seasons in. 3 sittings. So, I had to shave afterwards, cut the beard. But we hate an unfinished loop. And here's the thing behind it. I don't know if you guys have had like the drug talk about how drugs affect your brain. And so there's these things called neurotransmitters in your brain. It's little chemicals, and God love them. It's the feel-good stuff. You know, it's the dopamine, it's the oxytocin, it's serotonin. That stuff feels good, we love it. And here's the thing, as human beings, we operate on a reward system. So when we get an aha moment, like, if you're like, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I get it! Aha! Whew, that feels good. I love that. What happened to Tommy's baby? Oh, I get it! That feels good. And we get that chemical rush in our brains. And so we're always looking for that. We're always trying to close the loop. Did the tiger attack the man? What happened? I gotta know. Inquiring minds want to know. But we do it all day, every day, with everything. And it's kind of funny to me anymore, even when I catch myself doing it. Let's take a couple things you're on your screen or whatever phone thing, and you're like, oh, this is a good selfie. This is a good shot. They're gonna like it. Post it. Hours go by. Nobody liked my Facebook post. Nobody liked my Snapchat. Nobody liked it. Why didn't you like it? What's the matter with you people? That's what happened. Nobody liked my post. But we're going to interpret that, shall we? That means nobody likes me. That means everybody's probably at a party without me. That means. And it's all this that means stuff that kills us. Nobody liked my Facebook post. Screw you, I need to go drink or cut myself or whatever it is that you do to feel better. This one's even more funny. You guys like have boyfriends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever you have now. And you guys, you do some texting. And I know you do, because I watch him all summer. And he responds, you're like, oh good, and he responds, oh good, 2.7 seconds go by and there's no response. What? He didn't respond to my text. Let's interpret that, shall we? That means I knew he liked Mary. I'll bet they're hanging out at the mall. I'll bet they're together. I'll bet he's not with me anymore. I'll bet this, I'll bet that. Screw him. I don't have a boyfriend, I don't know, whatever it is. And you break up, you have a big fight about it. All because he didn't text you back in 2.7 seconds. Or whatever your allotted time is that you find acceptable. Here's my all-time favorite one. You know, this is kind of funny. You haven't seen your best friend Suzanne since you went on break because she had to go back to her ridiculous family in Indiana or Iowa or Illinois or someplace that starts with an I guess. But you haven't seen her. And then there you are, Tuesday, last week, you're coming back, walking across the parking lot. There she is. There's Suzanne. Suzanne! Hey! Suzanne! Suzanne! It's me, your best friend, Suzanne! Suzanne! I've sworn not to cuss in here. Suzanne didn't wave. Suzanne didn't wave. Let's make some stuff up about that, shall we? Suzanne didn't wave. That means she's not my BFF anymore. And that means all those secrets I told her about, like, really me and, like, you know, those conversations that girl on stage told us to have, now she's going to tell everybody about it. Oh, and she's talking to Jimmy. And Jimmy tells everybody everything. And so now everybody's going to know this secret that me and Suzanne talked about. And now nobody's going to like me. And nobody's talking to me right now. And so I bet they already know. So, oh my God, I got to get out of here. And drink, or cut, or use, or hide, or run away from school, or quit your life. Because Suzanne didn't wave. Here's the funniest part about that. So, later in the day, you're back at school and walking down the hall, and here comes Suzanne. And she's like, oh my gosh, hey Diane, how are you? You're like, which? Now you're really not friends. Because you don't know what you did wrong. They told me to ask what else might be true. But we love our stories. I love to defend, you know, my story. Anyway, we're running out of time. I have so much that I mean hours. This is why I'm running a summer camp. It's a 4-day camp. And if you have been inspired, or feel like you might be soon still, or motivated or intrigued, if any of this is what it feels like to be you most of the time, and you think maybe that, like, wow, I might be able to change that, come spend a week with me. You really actually get to spend it with me and 20 of our closest friends. So before I don't have time, there's flyers on the way out. Pick those up. You really did learn how to sail. It's kind of a badass thing to be able to do. Oh, in that case. Okay, we'll see where we get. So, my life changed. I spent 25 years in addiction. My life changed when, in my 5th rehab center, the 5th time I went, they took us to see this woman speak, and I was 5 days off of heroin, cocaine, everything horrible that there was, alcohol, meth, everything like a human body shouldn't survive what I've survived. And they took us to see this woman speak, and there's an audience of 1,500 people. And I was intrigued, and very dramatically she stopped. She looked around the crowd. I was pretty sure she was looking just at me. And she said, "Y'all, I have to tell you that you are enough, just the way you are. You always have been. You always will be. Just because the people in your life who you expect to cannot tell you or show you that does not negate that truth. You are enough and we need you." And I, like some of you, sat there with my jaw agape because I was so thirsty to hear that. I waited my whole life to hear that, you know, my whole life. And it didn't matter that it was coming from a stranger. The saddest part of probably all of this is that my mom had died. Oh, by the way, while I was in jail serving time for a drug offense. And she had told my family that I had lost the right to know if she was alive or dead. And so I found out a few months later that that had happened. And so I was pretty sure that I would never be good enough because my mom wasn't even around to tell me it anymore. So how could that possibly happen? This woman became my teacher for the last 8 years, and she went on to teach me about self-esteem. And I didn't know anything about self-esteem. I knew a lot about mom-esteem. I just needed mom to tell me I was good enough. I just needed mom to say she was proud of me. Come on, mom, didn't I do well enough? And nobody ever told me that I could feel good about myself all by myself. I didn't know that was allowed. And she gave me permission to do that. And she taught me all of this stuff about beliefs and a whole lot more. You know, at the end of camp, every day, we go around and I want everybody to tell me, what did you do well today? What do you feel good about? What did you accomplish? What are you proud of? Because I, like you, probably know that if you're not going to bed at the end of the day going, God, I didn't do this, I should have done that, what is the matter with me? Then you're not succeeding as a human being. That's weird. So what did you do well today? Again, everything is thinking. Everything is thinking. You are the only one who thinks in your brain. That's even weirder. Like I really like to blame the itty bitty shitty committee. But I want to tell you that the only thing between you and your greater good, everything you dream of, is a thing of thought and nothing else. You can overcome anything because everything is just a thought. Everything is just a belief. You know the thing, if you believe you can, you believe you can't, you're right. That's the truth. The bane of the human existence is that we are broken and we need fixing. When really, we just made some stuff up and called it real. So I want to tell you what Reverend Cynthia said to me from me to you. You are enough. Just the way you are. You always have been. Just because the people in your life that you think you need to hear it from can't say it, doesn't make that untrue. You are enough and we need you. She taught me about that the way people treated me had nothing to do with me. and we are running out of time. Just, I don't know, could you just, can I have an artichoke? Hello? Artichoke, just give me an artichoke. Do you have an artichoke? If you love me, you give me an artichoke. Fine. Now that is as bizarre as the stuff I make up about my mom. Hugging my mom was like hugging this cactus. She was a pat. She's like a pat hugger. Okay, done hugging. And I was like, that means I must not be lovable. He won't give me an artichoke. That means he must not love me. Both truly just as crazy. Because here's the thing about that. If he had given you an artichoke and I asked you for one, I'll bet you'd give me one, wouldn't you? Okay. If somebody had given him one, he'd give it to me. If somebody had given my mom a hug and told her how to support somebody, she would have done it for me. The way people treat you has nothing to do with you. You know, I decided a few years ago, and this has really only been a few years, that I'd rather find myself on my deathbed, having spent the rest of my life believing that I was good enough and that I could do anything. And in my last breath, be told, no, you actually weren't. Too late. I'd rather do that than find myself on my deathbed, having spent the rest of my life believing that I was a loser, that I didn't matter, that nobody cared, that I couldn't do anything, that I wasn't enough, and then have it breathed into me, you were. Because that's what it is. You're a choice. You get to choose what you believe. You weren't born with it. What a tragedy. What a Russian roulette. You know, our greatest fear, this is Marianne Williamson. I'm going to see her speak for the 7th time next month. She says, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond all measure. With great power comes great responsibility. You guys, you are the most powerful generation this planet has seen to date. Yeah, you are. You have the most awakened consciousness. You have the greatest breadth of awareness of the world around you and your connectivity to one another. So make no mistake that we need you. We need you to, whatever your thing is, we need you to dance your dance and sing your song and write your book and play your sport and teachers teach the classes and counsel the kids. We need you to do what you're doing. And then some. You know, when I'll close with this. I told you I was an Olympic level soccer player, and aside from just the physical abilities I had, one thing made me better than anybody else. I had a coach very early on who said, Diane, go for everything. You just might surprise yourself. And I did. So I'm going to leave you with that. Go for everything. Because you just might surprise yourself. We need you. Do not disappoint. If you fall down, get back up. Thank you. I'll see you this summer.